And that's what so many people miss. They think branding is literally just the visuals.
I knew this would happen.
Straight away, you've lost trust
Yeah.
with your potential client because that's not what they were expecting.
Well, the thing is, anyone listening or watching this, the penny's going to just be dropping.
I'd left the corporate space because my integrity had been compromised.
Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm your host, Susan Routledge, and today I have an absolutely awesome guest. I have Jojo Smith with me from CreativSAS, who is a brand and vision expert. I first came across Jojo in, I don't know, well, you like this all the time, high-vis jacket. You were doing the big festoon, and you were just like a bundle of like, sorting everything out in here, there and everywhere. A vision, yes. A vision of like just awesomeness. And I didn't know you then. And then it was really when we went to Ibiza, and it was Lisa Johnson's retreat, business mastermind retreat. And you were there as one of the speakers. And I just thought, oh my God. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So welcome, Jojo, and thank you so much for coming on as a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my word. Honest, I don't even know where to start because, we've done a little bit of work together. We spent a day together, which was, again, full of awesomeness. You just so great at pinpointing everything. But I think the one thing that I learned massively from that was the huge difference between a brand and branding. And I think that just the waters in that get so muddy, don't they?
I think, to be fair, everybody just assumes that if they have a logo and some colours and some fonts, that they have a brand.
Yeah.
No, that's branding. So there's a difference between the two. Let me know when you're ready for me to go into that, because it's not a quick answer.
Well, right. Let's start from, because I love your backstory as well and how you came into doing all of this. So shall we start with your backstory? Because that's absolutely fascinating.
Well, there is a story. And as you say, we met. I didn't actually realise that you'd seen me at the big festoon, which is hilarious considering I was wearing a high-vis jacket. Yes. And that's so everybody sees me. So, I am the creative director of the big festoon. So lots of people see me looking very important, pointing at all the right people, and ensuring that the whole event runs in that it's actually 2 days, but it's like a 3-day with a setup as well. And it's to ensure that whole brand is carried through at that event from the moment somebody arrives to the moment they leave. So is the brand personality, does everybody come and feel that experience and everything that Danny Wallace would want it to feel like? When they take a photograph, is it absolutely instantly recognisable as to where somebody is at that event, no matter what angle or wherever they take that photograph from? So that's my job as a brand director and a creative director for that event.
You know what? Obviously, you do that in bucket loads, not just space, bucket loads. But I'd never really thought about it like that, because when you walk into the big festoon, from outside, never mind inside, from outside, it's like a...
You go into
like
another world.
Yes.
It's a bubble.
Yes.
It's a brand bubble, to be perfectly honest with you.
And that must take some achieving.
It takes a lot of pre-thought. It takes a lot of, as I call it, walking the job. And we'll talk about that in a little while, but in order for a brand to be instantly recognisable and somebody walk away thinking, I want to be there again, I feel at home, I feel like I belong.
Yeah.
And for that to be cascaded further afield, as in if somebody takes a photo, takes some social footage or anything like that, that brand has to be instantly recognisable from every shot and every angle. So when you talk about brand, I mean, we're going straight in. We'll come back to the backstory because we've literally...
I knew this would happen.
We've literally gone straight in. But when you talk about a brand has to hit all of the senses. So if you think of the 5 senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. Have I missed one? I'm not sure,
No.
right? Hearing, all of those. A brand needs to be felt on all of those levels. And then there's the emotional aspect as well, the emotional sense. If somebody doesn't come in and feel your brand, then the chances of you retaining them as a client, very, very slim. So it's all about experience. Now, we're kind of touching on to the question. I'm a little bit like a sheepdog, me. You have to come by me. I'm ADHD and you have to go come by. So we're kind of coming by to the first question, which was brand and branding. Now, from a visual point of view, the branding is imperative at that event. So we absolutely make sure that from a visual point of view, you know you're at the big festoon. It's a great example that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But from a brand point of view, that's where the personality, the values, the beliefs, the feeling comes. And when you connect with a feeling, not just sight, that's a whole different level of brand connection. And that's what so many people miss. They think branding is literally just the visuals. But the best way to describe the difference between brand and branding, I always say this, imagine a naked person. Feel free to imagine me naked. It's all good, right? But from a brand point of view, that is the naked business. That's the naked person. So that is the beliefs, the values, the personality. So imagine that business hasn't got anything else but the personality, the values and the beliefs. The branding is the clothes you put on top of it. Now, what so many people do is they clothe the brand before they even know the brand. I did this myself. It's the first thing I did when I started business. I branded my branding the way I thought I should rather than how I could. So my branding was very much how I thought it should be, in the sense of it was very corporate. It was very, as I call Jeff the businessman.
I cannot even imagine you corporate.
Well, believe it or not, I've got 25 years in corporate experience.
I know, but suited and, you know what I mean?
I called it businessman Jeff, but that's how I thought I should be in order to be taken seriously. That's how I thought I should do business in order to get business.
Yeah.
The serious side, because I was now a CEO. And so many businesses make that mistake. They dress themselves how they think they should be rather than how they could be. Now, the whole thing with brand, your brand will absolutely eradicate any competition. Doesn't matter if you do exactly the same service, which in the salon industry, there's a lot of the same service. You know, you might use different equipment, you might onboard people slightly different, but ultimately it's a lot of the same service.
Yeah.
How you differentiate that is all through the personality, the beliefs and the values. Doesn't really matter what branding you put on it, because that is what will shine through and that's what's going to keep people coming back. It's how you make them feel. And it's the whole experience. So when it comes to branding yourself, if you don't dress how you show up, for want of a better word. So imagine me in a grey pinstripe suit, very dowdy, very, everything else. And then I rock up like this. That's my branding. And then I rock up like this. Straight away, you've lost trust with your potential client, because that's not what they were expecting. So your branding needs to be exactly what people expect to feel when they're with you.
Yeah.
I wear a bow because I'm a gift. Right? That's why I wear a bow.
I love that.
And that's not me being egotistical. That's because I've had to learn to love my strengths, own my weaknesses, and amplify that as my brand, if you know what I mean. And this puts me in my happy place. This is how I perform best. This is where you get the best energy. So therefore, when I was rocking up as Jeff, there was no connection to the clients, because it wasn't who I was, but I hadn't got the connection to my own brand at that point. And I hadn't done the work to really understand who I was. And I mean, we've got this, I said it was a long answer, but CreativSAS stands for creativity, self-awareness and strategy. Yeah. When you put those three things together, then you absolutely create a life and business hack. Because being creative with your self-awareness and pulling the strategy into that enables you to be the absolute best of your brand that you could ever possibly be. So many people think they're self-aware, but there's a statistic here for you. Self-awareness, 95% of the population think they're self-aware. I certainly did at the age of 46. I thought I knew who I was. I didn't have a clue until I really started to work on my own self-awareness, why I did certain things the way I was, what had made me the person I was. hence my backstory, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
And 95% of the population think they're self-aware. Only 15% actually are. That's massive. That's huge.
And the others, are they just following the
Lemmings?
Norm? Yeah.
Lemmings, or doing what they think they should.
Yeah.
And should never served anybody.
Yeah. But that, I think, is just upbringing, isn't it? Well, I don't know.
It is cycle.
I mean, it is very much in our industry where, in even my town, there's, I think, over 20 beauty businesses in my town, and it's a small town.
Yeah.
Magnify that into cities, it's like huge.
Magnify that into global.
Yeah, exactly.
It's massive.
Yeah. And it is, there isn't a lot to distinguish between different businesses. You're very, very true. It's not just in our industry, it's in all industries, isn't it, really?
So many people, if we skip back to like self-awareness, right, and people are going, oh no, I know who I am, I would absolutely question you to just take a day to really figure out. And that's what we did together on that day that we had, right? It's part of that experience of what I call space. You have to give yourself space to understand it. But people think they know their values and they think they know their beliefs. But actually, and in my sort of like 25 years in business development and then 6 years doing what I do now, it's only because I've got lived experience because I went through this process. But I had to go through it in order to survive in some aspects. Mm-hmm. So when you look at self-awareness, understanding what your beliefs are, you think you know what your beliefs are. But actually, the majority of the population are sitting on the surface. We're sitting on where we think our beliefs, again, should be. So we sit on the standard usual suspects: honesty, integrity, inclusiveness, loyalty, all those kind of things, right? They're part of my beliefs. They're part of my values. But one of my core values is to be, am I allowed to swear on this?
Go on.
Okay. I mean, I am a little bit sassy. So, I really believe in being real as fuck. Right? Yeah. If you're not really real and you are filtering or, there's a facade or something, that's not sustainable and there's no connection there. So from a business point of view, retention is going to be the hardest thing to do, which obviously then affects your revenue. So when it comes to being real, my core value is being real AF, real as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? But when we break that down, I actually spell it quite differently, which is RHIL AF, real AF. And what that stands for is respect, honesty, integrity, loyalty, and fair exchange. Those are my main values. Now, I have got some of the usual suspects, but what do they really, really mean to me? They really mean that no matter what we do, how we show up, who we work with, the brands that we build, we will always be real AF, because that is the only sustainable aspect of your true USP, because that's who you are. But ownership of that is incredibly hard. You would think to be yourself and to be real would be really easy. So not, because society doesn't allow us to just be that real.
Yeah.
It kind of tells us that we need to be a different way. But until you own that, which again, like I said, is the hardest thing, you won't have that true connection. You'll never get it. It'll be a surface level connection. Depth is where the legacy aspect of a brand lives. And we've gone deep quite quick. But I want to say, can I just say a question that people will be like, because I think this will help them stay with this and to really think about it. My question would be to anybody who listens or watches this: will your business die when you do? Big one, isn't it?
Yeah, very big one. Yes.
Now, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, Coco Chanel, their businesses didn't die when they did, because they built a brand that was so secure in beliefs and vision, brand and vision, which is come all the way back, by, is what I'm an expert in. That's what you need to be looking at. And if you're looking for a legacy brand that will still be here when you're not, if you're looking for a legacy brand that will really create impact, influence and income, then you have to really start digging deep for that brand, because it's got to last decades. And that's where generational wealth comes in.
Can I just ask you a question? Because I'm
Always.
sure a lot of people will think this. Right. So, a salon owner, right? They have their business and then they have a team. And you hear a lot of like come together and make the values as a team. Do you agree with that? Or does that person need to have those values and then bring that team into that?
So how I work with some teams as well, because this is often like you will hear the number one gripe in most businesses, staff. The staff, they either do this or they don't do this. I've either got a golden star or I haven't. And there's no real true connection. So the way that I always work with this is the business founder and owner needs to have the ultimate underpinning values. Walt Disney's was storytelling and magical belief, right? So Coco Chanel's was style and independence, because Coco Chanel was an orphan as well. So there's a connection there for me, right? So when the founder really knows who they are, what will happen is they will hire on those beliefs. So you will then know that they align, if that makes sense. Now, as that business gets bigger, you would always hope that you would hire on it. But when you've got an established business that is already going, what I tend to do with those clients is we go back to basics, we find out and discover their beliefs. And then with the team that they've got, we pull them in and we see which values those team members align to most. So you may have 5 values or whatever. I've got a really easy way of figuring out your values and how to remember them and how to cascade them and make sure you live, breathe and eat and everything them. But what the work that we've done with established teams is we actually have a look and see, we tell them, we go through the values so that we instill them in some aspects and share them. But then we're like, okay, which one do you align? Which one lights you up? And then you amplify that in that member. So that's the only way you'll get that true connection. That person will then fly because they're in alignment, they're in connection. You can't just tell somebody, I want you to have respect, honesty, integrity, loyalty and fair exchange. Do you know what I mean?
I think that happens a lot, though.
It happens all the time. These are our values and this is what we'll be.
Yeah, they're on the wall.
They're on the wall, which nobody knows them. Even the founder doesn't know them. The amount of times that I say to somebody, okay, tell me your values. And this is a surefire, quick test for me. If they need brand assistance and guidance and, help, if they need me, basically, which is, I've got to say 99.9% of the time they do. And then I go, what are your values? And they go, hold on, I'll have a look. I'm like, right. So if they've got to do that or they don't know them or the team don't know them, there's no connection. And there's no alignment, and no wonder you may be having team problems because there's no connection. Your team need to be as involved in your vision as you are. It'll never be their dream because it's your dream, but I've got a team that from a values and vision point of view, they know where we're going. They know where we're heading. We've had the conversations and I absolutely anchor in to their values that match mine. And I've got to say, I've got the most phenomenal team.
I was going to say that's got to make it easier when you pull in a team together as well.
It makes it easier from every single decision. It's not just your team, it's the content you create. Because if you're trying to create content, spraying and praying, which is, a term that everybody is familiar with, it's because you've got no direction. Your brand is your compass. It always comes back to it. We're Relay F, playful and prestige and encouraging. And sassy, not sorry. That's the hashtag.
Yeah, I love that.
But sassy, we reframed that whole word because if you look in sassy has a negative connotation. I'm huge for a reframe. We did a whole section on this when I spoke in Ibiza. And sassy stands for in the dictionary as lively, bold, full of spirit and a little bit cheeky. I am all of that, right? Lively, bold, full of spirit and a little bit cheeky. And we embody that as a team. And when I'm hiring, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, do I see the lively? Do I see the bold? Do I see the little bit cheeky? Now, they're not going to have it in the same fractions as I've got. They may not have all of them, but so long as I can see at least 3 out of those, then I know we can work on the rest, because the rest is maybe a confidence aspect. It may be a lack of direction. It may be they have no vision as to where they want to be. That's then my job as a leader to be able to benchmark that and be able to encourage it more so. But, you've just said that about your team. If they don't have these things and understand them and feel them, then they're not going to make great decisions. They're not going to represent you well. They're not going to feel secure either in the knowledge. And that's when the community, and it all basically comes back down to communication.
When then someone leaves and moves on because they don't, the biggest thing, isn't it, for someone working, everyone always thinks it is, money, and money, yes, is important, but it's feeling part of something and feeling that connection. That's the big thing, isn't it?
I am big on acronyms, right? Because I'm ADHD and I need acronyms in order to remember things. I'm also perimenopausal, so therefore the memory's not great. But I use acronyms a lot. And this is a really good test for any business owner. I always say your business needs to feel like home. Now, it needs to feel like home for 4 demographics. And those 4 demographics are, it needs to feel like home for you. Otherwise, you'll only ever end up resenting it. It won't be sustainable, and you certainly won't be in a legacy business. So that's you. The second one is your team. It needs to feel like home for your team. They need to feel like they belong. They need to feel like they want to invite people in, because that's the extension of your sales team. They need to feel like it's growing in value, because they grow in value as that you think about home. Yeah. So this is for you, your team. Then we've got your clients. Obviously, your clients need to feel like it's home. They need to feel welcomed. They need to feel like if there's an awkward conversation, they can have it. They need to feel like they want to tell other people about it. And then the other one, which is so many people forget this demographic within business, and from a business development pro, 25 years plus, suppliers. If your suppliers do not feel like your business is home to them, when you're in the shit, sorry, second swear word, when you are in the mire, they're not going to pull you out of it. They're not going to support you. When they've got their best deals on, or, something's selling out, you're not going to be first on the list because you don't feel like family. So your business has to feel like home. And here's the acronym. H, heart. Do you have heart in your business? Do you love what you do? Do the people coming in love what they do? Have they got passion for it? O, this one comes back every single time, ownership. Is there ownership of the things you do well? Is there ownership of the things you don't do well? Because we need to set the expectation. I've already told you I'm hormonal, I'm ADHD, I'm going to forget things. So there's no expectation that's going to be broken there, if that makes sense. Yeah. So ownership of our strengths. If you're the best at something, say you're the best at something, own it. We all find that really, really hard.
Yeah, I do.
M, meaningful purpose. Meaningful purpose in a business. We can earn all the money in the world. You can see from all the richest people in the world. But what makes you truly happy is purpose. And when you come back to purpose, again, we did this in Ibiza.
In Ibiza, yeah.
It's the missing puzzle piece is purpose. And people think that's quite fluffy. But actually, I work with micro businesses and millionaire businesses. And it never fails to amaze me that the millionaire business owners, what's missing is the purpose. They say they want more. It isn't necessarily more money. It's more impact and influence and purpose. And when you find out what your purpose is, we'll talk about mine later on. It's the care system. That's when you feel truly, truly fulfilled. And that's when you feel, that's where your happiness comes from at the end of the day. So M is for meaningful purpose. And then E is experience. If that experience isn't like a home experience for all of those 4 demographics that we just talked about, then you're not going to retain people. They're not going to want to come back. They're not going to do more for you. So heart, ownership, meaningful purpose and experience. That's how you make your brand feel like home.
I love how you have all of this. So it's so easy to remember it all. It's just like...
Do you know what? It's because I'm being real AF. It's what's important. Yeah. It's what I've learned. My complementary skill set throughout the years has been business development, creativity, brand. I'm a business owner myself, and yet I never had the confidence that ever thought I could be a CEO. Now I'm a CEO of 3 companies, and they're not all making millions. And the one we haven't fully got off the ground yet, but one is a purposeful CIC, which is a non-profit company, which is the Big Wish Works, which I know we're going to circle back to. And the other one is CreativSAS. Now, CreativSAS has really been the leader because that's enabled me to make a name for myself. And it's what's taught me everything about being an entrepreneur and who I work with, and working with brand and vision for all the different clients that I've had my eyes on, and I've seen what goes wrong. I've seen what works well. And you know what? It just amazes me at the lack of value that entrepreneurs put on brand. If you were to go into any corporate company, these corporates that are doing very, very well, let's just take supermarket chains, Asda, Aldi, Lidl, Waitrose, Sainsbury's. They're all supermarkets. They're all doing the same thing, but they're all doing it differently. Yeah. They're all doing it with their own personality and their own brand at the helm. You would never see any of those supermarkets not using the same font, not having the same messages, because they know what they stand for. Equally, they'll have a brand director that they're paying absolute tens of thousands to keep it linear. The reason it's so linear for me, and the reason it's so clear, is because it's real AF, it's who I am. And it's the vision. We know where we're going. We may detour slightly, but because of the brand, it always brings us back and it keeps us on track. And your brand evolves as you do. And then it just gets deeper and the connection just gets even deeper. I don't have a problem rocking up to do a talk, to deal with a customer, because I know what we need to do when we have that conversation. I can't say any more than that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, your passion just oozes out of you. So, but where did it all start from? I mean, this is the thing, because this is why I want to get you on as a guest, because, I've never ever come across anyone who is obviously as passionate as you are, but as well who's nailed it as much. The thing
I'm a brand division specialist, so I kind of needed to in some aspects. But yeah, you are right. You are right. I am very proud of how I am with that.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people see it till they meet me.
Exactly.
Well, they do.
I think that's it, because it's just passion coming out of every pore of your body, isn't it? Really, because
it's so aligned with me. It's purposeful. It's purposeful. Yeah. So that's the thing. But when I say a lot of people don't realise it until they meet me. So in any business, any kind of business, there needs to be so many touch points before somebody actually buys from you, because the whole ethos of gaining clients is gaining your reputation, revenue, all of that. But that comes from people getting to know you, like you, and trust you. We all hear that in the business world. They've got to know, like, and trust you. I let people get to know me. I let people get to like me, and I earn the trust, if that makes sense. And the way I earn the trust is through consistency. So I've had people that have come to work with me and they're, Jojo, I've been watching you for 2 years. I've been consistent in those 2 years. The things they've got to know about me, they've seen, be consistent. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've been vulnerable. Vulnerability builds connection. But we're told, don't be vulnerable. Oh, don't show them this part. When your business is doing shit, share it.
I know. It's a very British thing, though, isn't it? Just to keep that stiff upper lip and just get on with it.
But that's not real, is it?
No, it's not real at all. And I don't know. It seems to be the biggest in the UK. I think other countries, in America and that, they're quite bold, aren't they, about their ambitions and what they want to do and celebrating.
They're ahead of us in that way from a self-development, but that's from a self-awareness as well. You wouldn't necessarily think it, but self-awareness in the US is huge. We just hasn't reached us yet. And so actually knowing us, but we could be in a room full of people. Most of the people, if you said who's self-aware, would put their hand up. It kind of makes me chuckle a little bit inside, because I'm like, I can't wait for you to actually be self-aware. And that's not me being rude or disrespectful to them. That's because I know what comes on the other side of doing the work.
Yeah. How long does this work take?
Okay, so from a self-awareness point of view, it never ends. It never ends.
Yeah, because you're always saying you're always evolving and
always
and changing.
Evolving. Yeah. And the higher and the more successful I get, the more self-aware I need to become in order to deal with it and move to the next level. From a brand point of view, I stake my name on the fact that it takes you, and some people will gasp at this and go, oh my God, it takes 3 years to build a brand. Minimum. Minimum. It takes longer than that, but minimum.
Oh, a couple of months.
Yeah.
A couple of months.
Oh, I've done a logo with my mate on Canva and I've built a brand. You haven't. Right, I've got news for you. You haven't. And I mean, I could talk about this for weeks because there's so many different elements of it. You know, Canva brand, it's never going to scale with you. That's not going to get you corporate deals. It's not going to get you big products that will put you on the shelves at Asda or another supermarket. Other supermarkets are available. Do you know what I mean? It takes minimum of 3 years, and it takes minimum 3 years of being committed, consistent, and having a community around you. And when I say a community, I'm not saying like a huge one. It's who you surround yourself with, because that's the sum of who you become.
Do you think that's why so many businesses struggle early on?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. You think about it, people really are under the illusion that they just need branding. They need a sign above the shop, a letterhead in, some stickers maybe, and their branding is done. I'm coming in with another swear word. Bollocks. Bullshit. Sorry, two together. Sorry. That's me being real AF, right? I'm going to say I'm sassy, not sorry. You know what? I need your audience to see and feel how important this is for their business success.
Well, you know, the thing is, anyone listening or watching this, the penny's going to just be dropping. Like, you just think, I mean, I've spent time with you. I have listened to you. I've watched you. So I'm a little bit ahead of probably the audience.
Well, you've got to know, like, and trust me now. Exactly.
But the thing is, you know, like, most people do think the way that you're talking, you know, like, oh my God, yeah, I've got that sign above the door. I've got me letterheads. I've got me postcards.
I've got me loyalty cards that are stamped on them. Yeah. You know, it's massive. This is a story. I always say I became a 6-figure business owner, and there's definitely room for more, but there's one of me and my very small team that is growing slowly. But I've got so many things to do, fingers in all the pies, as you know. But I often say that I built a 6-figure business by throwing my last £30 in the bin. Right? And that is because my original branding, which was businessman Jeff, which was horrendous. It was, and I'm not saying Black and Jade, there's any problem with that, but it wasn't me.
Yeah.
The logo looked like something out of a G.I. Jane kind of thing, because it was CreativSAS. And it just didn't match me. And I had an encounter with Danny Wallace. I'm now the creative director of the Big Festoon.
Danny's amazing.
And she is. And it was the first time we'd ever met. I'd watched this woman and we met up for a coffee. She was staying behind to actually meet me. And I was at a point where I'd left the corporate space because my integrity had been compromised. And I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I was 46 years old, 6 years ago. And being I'm just going to say it, being a fat, brummy bird with no qualifications, a dodgy brummy accent, shocking at grammar, use kisses as full stops. A care leaver, as in, you know, I've been in children's home, foster care, young carer myself. We can talk about that more. How could I be a CEO of a company? But I was at a point where I wasn't willing to work in the corporate space anymore because I just couldn't align my values with how it was. So I had two choices. 46 years old, had my career because I'd had a very successful career. I'd worked with the likes of MTV, Amazon, big corporate blue chip companies, not in them, with them kind of thing. So I'd done big things with them. And I remember thinking to myself, have I had my career, 46 years old? Is it time for greenhouse and some slippers? And then there was something else inside of me that was like, no, Jojo, there's more to do. So I started my business, but I started it with very little belief and confidence that I could be that person. And I got my Jeff brand and I had this business card, and I met Danny this one day and she said, right, show me what you've got. And I put the business card on the table, and as I put it on the table, I said to her, but it's not really me. It's not really me. right? But I'd done this business. I'd spent a whole £30 on Vistaprint. This was my big business investment of 30 quid. It took me about a week and a half to decide whether I was going to spend 30 quid on these business cards, on this brand. And as I put it down and I said that, I heard myself say it. And Danny said to me, whoa, Jojo, I've known you for 2 minutes. You're sparkly, you're leopard print, you're pink, kind of thing. What is this? And I just went, and she said, what made you successful in your last career? And I went, my personality. My personality. Now, people will see me on here and go, oh, she's really vibrant. She's really confident. Yeah. She's loud. She's proud. She's all this. She's bubbly. You don't have to be that. No. You just need to understand your personality and then amplify it. And in that moment was the biggest U-turn and pivot that I've ever done. And I had said when I'd done my branding with my mate on Canva quick with a logo, that'll do, a that'll do logo, which a lot of people will have. I'm calling you out, right? I see you. I've been there. And I thought, I'd said to him at the time, I remember saying to him, something's missing. And he looked at me and went, Jojo, it's pink. And I went, I can't have pink. Nobody will take me seriously. I've got to be corporate. I should be this. I should be that. And in that moment, in that conversation with Danny, I got that business card, and on the way out, I chucked them all in the bin. And it was like, I am going all out pink. I am going for this. I put myself 110% in it. I've never looked back since. It's just gone like that because I chose to be who I was.
And was it easy? Did you find it easy? Because obviously you'd done this for so long and being in a certain genre kind of thing. And then it was just like, right, that's it.
Absolutely
sassy
not.
Now.
Absolutely not. This is where the work started. And the first thing, and this is one of the things that I work on with every single client, and again, it never fails to amaze me, micro or £1 million business owner, the belief is what stops everybody. It stops everybody in their tracks. It's their limiting beliefs. We've heard, this is not new news, the limiting beliefs that, like I told myself, dodgy Brummie accent, didn't do well at school. Well, actually, that dodgy Brummie accent has made, God rest his soul, Ozzy Osbourne as famous as it's made him.
Yeah.
Alison Hammond as famous as it's made her. Yeah. Cilla Black with her Liverpudlian accident. Cilla Black with her Liverpool accent.
Yeah, exactly.
These are our real AF attributes and anchors. And actually, it's free to me because I can't change it. I do quite a good Somerset accent, but I don't do anything else, right? And I knew then that I had to have ownership of these things, but the belief is what held me back. So I actually thought to myself, I need to master this belief first. Otherwise, I'm going nowhere with this business. It won't be sustainable. And if I'm doing it, I want to do it. I've always done everything to the most and the best of my ability. If you're doing something, it's worth doing.
Exactly.
And I thought, if I don't master this belief, and most people come to me, Jojo, I want business development, top layer of the cake. I'm like, okay, business development. Okay. Well, you can't have business development unless you've got a kick-ass brand. That's the first layer. And then they think that's where we're going to start. And I'm like, but you can't have a kick-ass brand if you haven't got kick-ass belief. And we all have things that hold us back. It might be something a teacher said. It might be something somebody else has said. It might be something you're thinking about yourself. I hadn't got qualifications to be a brand and vision specialist, but what I had got was 25 years plus experience. I am an awesome creative. This I knew to be true. Give me a paper clip and an elastic band and I'll make you something out of it, right? I'll engineer it, whatever. We've done the big festoon for the last however many years on the tightest budget that was almost zero.
Yeah.
Yet when you walk in, you would never know. That's because creativity comes into it, the self-awareness comes into it, and it's very, very strategic. So belief was the first aspect. And so I worked for the first year purely on my belief, because I thought, if I don't believe, how is anybody else going to believe in me?
Yeah.
That's where the book comes in. And that was when I wrote the book, Loving Yourself Beyond Belief, because if you don't love yourself, how can you expect any other clients, team, suppliers to?
I must say it's an awesome book.
Thank you very much.
Anyone who, this is Jojo's book. This is the most awesome book. Just, I couldn't put it down just from cover to cover. It's because it's just, you just can't help but be inspired by it.
That's where, there's part of my story in there, which for everybody, where your belief stems from, if belief is evidence-based, right? And nobody ever spends any time looking at the evidence of what they're capable of, because that would be braggadocious, right? That would be egotistical, right? We absolutely have to look at the evidence when it comes to belief. And if you can't believe it, you'll never do it. Never do it. It'll hold you back. And I was just like, right, belief is evidence-based. This is where I started to really look into the self-awareness aspect. And CreativSAS version 1 was actually Creative Signs and Services, because that's where I was at in my brand and my belief. And then it evolved into Creative Self-Awareness Strategy, because one day, naked in the shower, remember I said think of people naked, it literally just came to me, and it was like, this was after I'd started working on this. I was like, this is the modality, and that's why it's trademarked, because ultimately the vision is that one day somebody will say to their child at the dining room table while they're having breakfast, use your CreativSAS today, Bab, because that's going to get you through when they're having a bad day. Use your creativity, use your self-awareness, and use your strategy, because that's what will enable you to do the hard things. And I want that to be an actual word at some point. And if at the age of 6 years old, I can walk to school on my own by Spaghetti Junction, which most people know Spaghetti Junction in Birmingham in the West Midlands. If I can do that at the age of 6 years old, what can't I do?
Is that what you were doing?
That's So I was in the care system from age 18 months through to 18 years. And my biological mum had MS, multiple sclerosis, never knew my dad. And I went into foster care at the age of 18 months. I actually don't know where I was for the first 18 months. I tell everybody I was at the bottom of the garden with the fairies. And they were creating me to be something special. So it's a story I've chose to have. And I also used to tell everybody that David Hasselhoff was my dad when Baywatch was on. But anyway, I was, first 18 months, I don't really know where I was. And my mum's not here now, my real mum. She died when I was 16. So 18 months through to 6 years old, I was placed in foster care, and I'll say with my mum and dad, I call them my mum and dad, Diane and Dave, and my brother Simon. Mum and dad had a really bad birth, so they were never going to go through childbirth again. So they fostered me. Now, because my mum had MS and my mum had had a child 10 years previously, I've got a half sister. She'd been adopted. So my real mum wouldn't allow me to be adopted. So mum and dad, sorry if this is getting confusing, were told that it was basically an unwritten adoption. There was no chance of me going back, and I was going to be with them for life, but it was under a foster care order because mum wouldn't sign the papers. And she wanted to keep some contact with me, and mum and dad were really great with that. As a parent now, I don't know how my mum and dad did what they did and loved me the way they did. So 1 to 6, that's where I was. Back then, they didn't realise how much MS fluctuated up and down. Yes. They just thought it was how she was and everything else. But she got well again. And in the infinite wisdom of the system, they thought it would be better that I went back to live with my real mum. Right. So, like, as a mum myself now, at the age of 6, how mum and dad said goodbye to me. I don't know how they did it. And they did it with the most selfless, prepared me for a new adventure, lovingness that I can ever even. I normally can talk about this without getting emotional, but funny enough, I'm getting emotional now, but it's fine. But mum and dad set me off on this new adventure with my real mum. But actually, in actual fact, what I was actually doing, they weren't allowed to have contact with me after that. In actual fact, I know. So, and I had aunts, uncles, nans, granddads, cousins. My mum and dad had a huge extended family. It was pretty much like a death in the family that I'd gone. So they'd had me for 6 years, grown up with me, nurtured me, everything. Went back to live with my real mum in a really not great area, and became a child carer at the age of 6. Yeah. Social services obviously thought it was the best place for me to be. It definitely wasn't. My mum loved me beyond belief, but could she care for me? She just couldn't. She hadn't got the skills. So I was walking to school at the age of 6 on my own by Spaghetti Junction, cooking for us, everything. When I look back now, like it's unbelievable. So was with my mum for a year. Obviously I hadn't got contact anymore with who I call mum and dad. And don't worry, happy endings coming for anybody that's getting really upset. So for a year then I was with my mum, and then after a year mum got ill again, and one night she basically couldn't move, so I had to call an ambulance. That evening, I ended up, it's in the book. That evening, I ended up at a local neighbour's house that I'd never really knew, just this kind woman that had offered me to come for tea one night. And I think she'd done it out of pity because I was the care kid. I was the scruffy kid, didn't really have friends, wasn't dressed great on the playground, that kind of thing. She'd offered me for tea once, and when the ambulance came, they said, is there anywhere you can go? I mean, they asked a 7-year-old, is there anywhere you can go?
Wow.
I ended up in this strange house overnight. The following day, the kids from the estate came round and said, oh, by the way, you're going in the children's home. Well, these children's homes had been at the back of where I'd lived and were kind of the scary place that nobody ever wanted to go. And lo and behold, that evening, I was in the children's home, and I was in there for a year. And mum and dad found out accidentally that I was back in care, and I ended up back with mum and dad.
Wow.
So I ended up back with them. And the rest is history. Mum died when I was 16. They kept me in contact. They never fully adopted me because, again, out of respect for my mum, and she never wanted it. There was no chance I was ever going back because her MS really escalated. You know, that nurturing those first 6 years, I talk about that in the book.
Yeah.
That's what set me up to be able to cope for that. I had a strong base. And that's, you know, it's age 7 is when we form all our emotional states and everything. Again, there's stuff like that in the book. So going back to that time, writing the book actually gave me a lot of self-awareness because it enabled me to see where my strengths were. Not everybody's going to have a story like that, but I guarantee you everybody has something that they have done, been witness to, been a part of, that if you can do that, you can absolutely do the other stuff.
I know we see that in bundles with, because like we've done Beauty and the Best, we've done 3 now, where everyone's got just 2,000 up to 2,000 words to write that story and things, and like everyone always like you laugh, you cry, it's just, you know, it just amazes me the amazing journeys people have gone through in their lives to get to where they are.
But people say don't look back, right? I say look back to see how far you've come.
Yeah.
Because if you don't look back and see what you've done, you're not going to power that evidence for the belief of what is to come.
Exactly.
And that's a huge part of self-awareness, and people just brush it off massively. Yeah. And for me, like, you know, walking onto stages now, being flown out to Ibiza to speak, being in LA, that kind of thing. You know, I've now got my own radio show. I've got a #1 best-selling book in 14 categories. I've got a 6-figure business. I've got my CIC company, which the Big Wish Works.
Big Wish, yes. We need to talk about the Big Wish.
It's the Big Wish Works because I believe the Big Wish does work. We often say, I wish I could have more customers. I wish my staff would be better. I wish this, I wish that, and we say it in a really, really throwaway aspect. I have another acronym coming, right? And that is the word wish. It stands for with intention, success happens.
Yeah.
If you catch yourself or anybody saying the word I wish, just stop them for a minute. Again, self-awareness. What are you wishing for? I'm wishing for more clients. Well, okay, how's your marketing? How's your brand? Are you actually showing up? With intention, success happens, right? We have to do something. We have to take responsibility for our respondability. And quite often we don't.
Yeah, true.
So the Big Wish Works is one of my biggest purposes, and one of the biggest visions was to always do something for care leavers, because one child goes into care every 5 minutes in the UK.
Oh, wow.
That's a massive statistic.
Yeah, it is.
Now, we look at all the demographics of all the other charities and everything else, but the care leavers and kids in care often get bypassed. Now, at the age of 18, it's happy birthday, off you pop. Literally, it's that if they're in the care system, 18, you're lucky if you even get a birthday, oh, now you need to leave. So if you're in a facility, 18, that day or just before, you're out and you're expected to adult on your own. Now, I was blessed enough to have my family support, but actually leading up to being 18, I was pretty sure that I was going to stay with mum and dad. I had quite a good aspect. But equally, that nervousness of coming up to that age and not knowing, are you going to have a family, you're going to have a home, that kind of thing. It's really hard. So the Big Wish Works is all about really having something it's called the care cliff, when people fall off the care cliff at age 18. It's really to catch them and give them the opportunities to fly, because I truly believe I have stepped into my absolute ultimate where I'm meant to be in being an entrepreneur, because being in the care system gave me 3 special skill sets. I always say we're like Liam Neeson. We have a very special set of skills, us care leavers: resilience, rapid adaptation, and resourcefulness. Mm-hmm. And those 3 things in entrepreneurship are needed in buckets.
There are so many people who've ended up in entrepreneurship, though, who have come out of the care system, haven't they? And it's like you see in everyone's stories and different stories.
There are some, but we don't champion them.
No,
if that makes sense. But the thing is, how many times have you been actually encouraged to be an entrepreneur?
Never.
Exactly.
Never.
So if we're not going to encourage...
It's not in the school system or anything.
Even your family, your closest family are scared shitless, sorry, swearing again, right? Are scared about you being an entrepreneur because it's not a proper job.
Yeah.
It's the best flipping job I've ever had. But that's a whole different conversation, different podcast. But we're not encouraged to do it. Now, these kids coming out the care system have got the skill set that we absolutely need. Resilience, rapid adaptation, resourceful. But we're not encouraging them to fly. Equally, structure is not good for a kid that's come out of care. So going into a mainstream job doesn't always work out, because structure has not been their whole life. Yeah. So when you are expected to do this way, be here at this time, they're setting them up to fail. And equally, it comes with a stigma. You've been in care. You must be a naughty kid. Actually,
yeah, again, it's true.
From the truth.
Yeah, it's very true, that stigma.
Yeah, and it's no wonder that we have very little structure to us. So entrepreneurship is the obvious choice. If we encourage our kids that come out of the care system in entrepreneurship, we can create some great businesses. Quite often as well, there may be ADHD involved because of childhood trauma and things like that. That's where you excel as well. So the Big Wish Works is all about bringing these kids home. Oh. Hope, opportunity, mentorship, encouragement in entrepreneurship.
I love
We're
that.
in the very, very early stages at the moment. We are in the funding and awareness stage. I've got my eyes on some big players that I really want to be part of the Big Wish Works. But the plan is to have a pilot scheme that is 12 months. We take 22 kids through a programme. I have got the most marvellous... I call them the Marvels. They're like Marvel mentors, like Avengers Assemble kind of thing. I've been really, really fortunate to meet some phenomenal people. The likes of Danny Wallace, speaker,
yeah.
I call her Joe McChicken. She's actually called Joe McMeekin. She is a brain expert and an inclusive expert, Sen story, lots of Sen experience. H. Harris, who is the most phenomenal identity person. Lindsay McGlone, who is Instagram and an activist. And we've got all of these Marvel mentors that will help throughout the programme. And basically we want to build them a business, build them a brand, build their confidence and their belief throughout the year, so that actually then they can fly, they can be independent, they can create their own homes. And it's called the Big Wish Works because the Big Wish works.
Oh my word, I absolutely love that.
So if anybody wants to donate, please go and follow us first of all. That's the first bit of support.
Is there a site set up already?
Yes.
Fantastic.
This is the Big Wish Works.
Right, well, we'll put that into the show notes as well, so that anyone can get involved. And I mean, we have all sorts of different listeners and people watching. So hopefully as well, it'll hit with, because it's just it's a genius idea, but because
it's real life.
Exactly.
It's real AF. It's what it is.
But in today's society, this shouldn't be happening though, where someone's just left to their own resources.
And it's a wonder why so many, the statistics, if you go on our Instagram, I've got a great team because we've recruited on the brand and everything else. I've got a great team. They are pretty much looking after the Big Wish Works with minimal direction from me. I call myself, I'm the gob. I'm the person that's going to go out, create the awareness, get the people we need, stuff like that. But when it comes to the funding tenders, like I say, I've got ADHD. When it comes to the social media, obviously I'm running the business. So I've got other people, but they can do it effortlessly because they are so on brand, so on board, values-wise, everything. Yeah. But if you go and look at some of the statistics, it's honestly, I think we've probably got one. We've got one on here. What's this one? Let's look at this one. Care leavers are 4 to 5 times more likely to experience poor mental health in early adulthood. Yeah. 4 to 5 times more likely.
That's mad.
Right? There's so many other statistics on there, which we're not talking about.
No.
And we need to be talking about it because, kids are our future. And if the amount of kids that come out of care, have kids that go into care because there's not been the nurturing, because there's not been the mentorship, because there's not been the love, the structure and everything else. If we want to break that cycle, we've got to catch them at the other end so that do you know what I mean?
Oh, my word.
So that's the big wish works.
And as well, I can't believe the time's flown over so fast. Obviously, I know there'll be a lot of people thinking, how on earth do you get to be like Jojo? How do you get to be that sassy and on brand and branding? So if someone wanted to work with you, how do they go about that kind of thing?
It's been really important to me to make this super accessible because I remember only having 30 quid and having to take 2 weeks to decide whether to use that or not.
Mr. Print's going to suffer,
Print, I know. Sorry, Mr. Print. They were great quality and very quick turnaround. But it was my fault. It wasn't them. It was me and the brand I created at that point. So I'm super conscious that I always have micro and millionaire access to me. So if you are a micro business, there's lots of different ways you can work with me. I've got free resources. I've got a free quiz on my website that will give you such direction as to where you are with your belief, your brand and your business development. That's a free quiz. Go on the website, CreativSAS, CreativSAS, because there's no E. I've took the E out of creative. That was creative. Right. Go on the website, there's free resources there. There's independent one-to-ones, which is what we've done. There's retainer packages, there's group programs. There is something for everybody. And I've really tailored that service suite because everybody deserves a chance. Everybody needs direction, and dependent where you're at, that obviously the more proximity you get to me, the more it costs.
Yeah, of course. But there's only one of you. There's only one of me, but we're working on cloning. We're working on that in a certain way with automation, as you know. So there's lots of ways. I've got a great cracking program at the moment called Room 202 because people were coming and working with me and then they were going off and then they'd got a brand or branding. We told them, but they just didn't know what to do with it. It's what do I do now?
Oh, I've got it. Lovely. What do I do with it? Kind of thing. Then, it gets left on the shelf or whatever. Or they dilute it. They go away and they dilute it.
Yeah.
And they veer off. So Room 202 is my newest program. It's a group program. It's really accessible from a price point. It's really accessible from a time point as well, because so many business owners don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, and they always say, I haven't got time for this. I haven't got
time to do that. So 2 hours a month. First hour, you get your brand boost. The second hour, get this, we do the implementation. We do the shizzle. Because the other thing is so many people work with people and then they go off, they've had the learning, then they don't do anything with it because they haven't got the time to do it. So we do implementation and that. But the thing is, I did it for 12 months because I've told you it takes 3 years to build a brand. They needed minimum of 12 months to hand-holding, direction, and to understand what brand actually is and to build it. Yeah. So 12 years, we build your home, basically. And
12 months.
12 months, sorry, 12 years, 12 months. I mean, you can stay with me for 12 years, that's fine. We've got people that are coming back in this year. We go again with our next cohort in October. We go live with the next cohort. But 9 months in, they're really seeing the business development. But that's how long it takes.
Talking about business development, I can't wait to see where you're going because it's just, it's amazing, absolutely awesome. I mean, from the first time I saw you to now, it's like you've grown
elevated
so much.
Again.
Yeah. So you're such an inspiration, and I'm so grateful that I've managed to get you here. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
Jojo.
having me. It's all about spreading the word, and I really appreciate these moments.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.